When I was a bit younger, well that was only 4 years ago really, but anyway, I always used to love using my flint to light fires, you know. I just love the challenge of it, and no matter how damp all the wood was wherever I was trying to light the fire, I'd use this. In fact, this was the only thing I used to have in my car to light a fire with. Well, I don't know if I got a little bit lazy or what, but I'm going to show you guys how I light a fire nowadays. Now, it doesn't matter how much you suck at lighting fires. If you use this method, chances are you're going to get a fire going. So let me show you guys how to start a fire in the 21st century. Let's do it. Now, some people might view this as cheating, and you know what? Too bad. But anyway, this is a blowtorch. Now, this little blowtorch is just an attachment onto your normal gas cartridge that you use in your cheap gas stoves. There's a stack of different accessories that you can attach to these nowadays, and this is just one of them. Now, aside from lighting a fire, there's actually a couple of reasons that this is a really handy thing to have in your car. Another thing that you can use it for is emergency soldering. If you don't have a soldering iron and you need to do some basic 12-volt repairs, this is the next best thing, assuming that you got solder, of course. And if you are doing something a bit more delicate, you can always use this to heat up a metal object like a screwdriver or something like that, and use that to solder. Now, another thing that this is really good for is if you had a mechanical breakdown and you had to do some work on the side of the road. If you had some really stuck nuts or bolts, you could always use this as a last resort, try and get some heat into the metal virtually, make it expand, and then you might be able to crack that nut or bolt. But aside from all those things, it's really great at starting fires. So what do you need to start a fire? Now, just like starting any other fire, you need your basics. So you need some tinder. So virtually anything that's really, really dry, that's gonna catch fire really, really easily. Leaves are perfect. If you can't find anything, just grab your packet after Macca's. That burns really, really well. And you and I both know that there's one in your car. Then you move on to your kindling. Now, a lot of people skip the step of using really small kindling, but it really helps to get little coals going and get some heat happening really, really fast. Then you move on to your bigger kindling, your bigger pieces of wood, and then finally you got your fuel. So that's your more solid pieces of wood and your full on kind of big logs and things like that. So let's get stuck into lighting this fire. Okay, so this is so easy, it's not funny. Grab your tinder there, and then just have your kindling ready to go. And this is where the magic happens. So what I normally do is virtually just leave the torch lying down there. Just make sure that there's nothing that's gonna really cause the torch to kind of catch fire. So you want it a little bit out of the fire, if you know what I mean. Next thing, just grab your kindling and just start chucking it in there. And these really small pieces of wood is exactly what you want, because that's just gonna cause the fire just to really build up fast. As I said, a lot of people seem to skip this step, but it definitely makes it a lot easier, so just do it. And like, the thing is, if you use little sticks like this, you're gonna have your fire like really, really big in no time at all, instead of waiting ages for it to heat up and get really some heat cranking. And just remember guys, always make sure that the blowtorch is not getting hot, especially the gas cartridge, because you wouldn't want this to explode on you. So just have it away from the fire. Now, as you can see, that's going really, really well. Now, you could take the blowtorch away, but if you want to get the fire happening fast, just leave it there. As long as it's not getting hot, it's all good. And now we're going to move on to our bigger kindling. Now, I would say that fire's going well enough, so I'm going to take the blowtorch away. Oh, peace and quiet, finally. So this fire seems to be going really, really well. It's got some decent airflow happening, which always helps. And just remember guys, make sure that there's no leaves around that are going to catch fire and cause a bushfire, because that's the last thing that you want to happen. I don't know, that was probably literally 2 minutes and we've got a really, really good fire going. And virtually after this, you just start getting your fuel. So your bigger pieces of log or wood or whatever you got around you, and virtually chuck that on as well. And you're gonna have a fire going in no time at all. Now the thing is, you could just keep chucking really big logs like this on, but if you wanna have a really decent fire, it's often these smaller kind of logs and sticks that are gonna get the fire really, really hot. And especially if you're gonna be doing some camp oven cooking, it's really good to chuck on smaller logs like this, because that's what's actually gonna create the coals really, really fast. Bigger pieces of wood like this just take forever to burn down, especially when the fire's just getting going like this. So if I was cooking, say, a camp oven roast tonight, I'd want to get a stack of wood like this, chuck it on there, and you're going to get that fire happening really nice and fast, get some coals happening, and you'll be good to go to cook dinner. Well, there you go, guys. In a matter of minutes, we got a cranking fire going. So these are the way of the future, I think, and especially because they're so multi-purpose, it's a great thing to have in your car. So I'll definitely recommend grabbing one. They do cost a little bit, but for the amount of use that you get out of them, it's really awesome, especially with these butane cartridges, because they're so cheap these days too. All right, I think I'm going to get dinner happening. Oh yeah, I can taste that cheese Kransky already. Seek adventure!